16. I have some very unfortunate news. Unfortunately, Burak and I recorded earlier, and we had some technical difficulties, and unfortunately, the recording is completely and utterly useless. So what I'm going to do is just quickly record 20 or so minutes for you with our highlights of the week of the news bites that we have for you, but I'm afraid that our recording of this week is rendered useless. Uzur was not able to meet it, wasn't able to join us, sorry, and Umut wasn't able to join us either because he's on holiday in San Francisco. Uzur was working late. Also asked Bruno Bottaro before we started recording, but he couldn't make it. And you know what, maybe that's good because now we only wasted 2 people's time rather than 3. But let's dig into it quickly. We have some promotional news for you. Denizlispor, Gazişehir, and Gençlerbirliği are the 3 teams that will be joining us in the Super League next season. Of course, Akhisar, Erzurumspor, and Bursaspor were the teams dropping down. Gazişehir is the last team to be added to that because of them winning the promotional playoffs. They won the final on penalties against Hatay 5-3. This was played on neutral grounds. It was an interesting game to watch. I watched it live for the most part. Very good game. Entertaining at least, with a good atmosphere in the stadium. But it's Gazişehir who will be joining the Super League for the first time in their history. But it has to be said that they are basically a new Gaziantepspor, because obviously Gaziantepspor went under a couple of years ago. They're still around, but they're dropping down league. I think they're in 4th division at this point or something. And Gazişehir kind of took their place. They have some interesting players that you may remember, such as Musa Sow, for example. He plays there, although he did not play in this promotional playoff final. So Gençlerbirliği back after just 1 season, and Denizlispor back after almost a decade away from the Super League. And then Gazişehir making their debut in the Super League next season. Let's quickly delve into some Super League news. Besiktas have appointed Abdullah Avci. We had already alluded to it last week, but the Başakşehir coach has now officially left Başakşehir and has signed a 2+1 year contract with Besiktas. In addition, Besiktas have also announced the official signing of Adem Ljajic. He had, of course, spent this past season at Besiktas on loan from Torino, but he now joins the Besiktas on a permanent basis for 6.5 million euros after impressing this past season, making 32 official appearances, scoring 9 goals and assisting 14. So he was involved in 23 goals in just 32 games. That's pretty impressive for an attacking midfielder. And another news bite for Besiktas. Çarşı have announced that they will be returning to the Kapalı stands for the first time in a very long time. They had, of course, been in the stadium, still scattered out a little bit, but they will now once again be taking their seats, or at least preferably taking their seats in the Kapalı stands, and hopefully providing an even better atmosphere this coming season for Besiktas. Let's move over to Fenerbahce. Hasan Kaldırım has been linked to a move to West Ham United in the Premier League by the BBC, of all places, and that's quite reliable. Apparently, the BBC are reporting that Hasan Kaldırım has a €5 million buyout clause, and the 29-year-old Turkish international would be keen on the move. Now, that's 5 billion is obviously a decent fee for a 29-year-old player. However, Fenerbahce have just released Ismail Koybaşı on a free transfer. His contract was at an end, so they'll be hard pressed to replace Hasan Ali without with a potential foreign limit being re-implemented soon. It could be tricky for Fenerbahce, but if the player is keen, the money is good, and the source here is quite credible. So we might be seeing another Turk in the Premier League soon. In addition, Fenerbahce have gotten a delay or how should I put it, on their financial fair play decision for this season. They have gotten until the end of June to get their paperwork in order for financial fair play. They had a 60 or so million deficit 2 months ago, and they are basically allowed to have no deficit whatsoever on the break even. But they have already generated over 30 million euros from their Fener All campaign, so they're down to about, let's say, 35 million or so. So Fenerbahce basically have a month or so to come up with the necessary funds to cover that. I'm not sure they'll have to do the entire thing, because I do think that UEFA will be taking some. They will be taking a little bit of a, not pity, but given the Turkish economy and all that, I think they will be lenient. But we'll have to wait and see. The decision will be made at the end of the month. Now let's move over to Galatasaray. Selçuk Ünen has extended his contract by 1 season. He will be earning just 500,000 euros for this 1 season. That's down from nearly 3 million that he was guaranteed this past season, 2.95 to be exact. So that's quite interesting that he'll be staying for another season. It seemed to many people that he was kind of at the end of his Latin, so to speak, but he'll be adding 1 more season to that. Maybe he'll retire afterwards and become part of the coaching staff. Maybe he'll make it a last move, but I think for Selçuk, he's made good money. Would be nice for him, I think, to call it quits after this season. The only other really big news coming out of Galatasaray right now are the rumors revolving Vedat Muric of Çaykur Rizespor. Spor are claiming that Muric has said that he wants to go to Galatasaray, and in addition, Doğan Haber Ajansı DHA have a quote from Yilmaz Bal, who has replaced Okan Buruk as Çaykur Rizespor's coach. He has said that Galatasaray have made a 2.5 million offer for Vedat Muric, and Rizespor reportedly value him at 10 million. So we'll have to follow that and see how that evolves. Apart from that, there's really not anything big coming out of the Turkish Super League right now. Obviously, there's an international break at the moment, and there isn't much transfer news yet. But Kasımpaşa have made the headlines both in Turkey and internationally by appointing İbrahim Üzülmez as their new head coach, and obviously that is not that noteworthy. But less than 5 hours later, they sacked him again. So he was their coach for all about 4.5 hours. And the official reason behind his sacking is a difference of opinion. So we can only imagine what happened there. Maybe he signed his contract and he said, "Oh, by the way, Mahmut Trezeguet and all your other best players are leaving," or something. I don't know. But yeah, that made the rounds around the world. I have gotten quite a few questions about that, actually. Now, quickly, let's move over to the Turkish national team as they play 2 friendlies, beating Greece 2-1 and Uzbekistan 2-0. Against Greece, Cengiz Ünder and Kenan Karaman got the goals in the 11th and the 17th minute, while Dimitrios Kumprelis got a goal for the Greeks in the 4th minute of second half stoppage time. Against Uzbekistan, both goals were scored by Zeki Çelik in the 17th and in the 57th minute, so that doesn't happen every day that a right back scores a brace in an international game. Cenk Tosun will be out for about 2 months, apparently, after picking up an injury. I believe that was against Greece, and also Okay Yokuşlu seems to have picked up an injury, so he will not be available for the matches against France and Iceland, 2 crucial qualifiers for the European Championship, of course. The first one to be played on the 8th of June on Saturday, Turkey take on France, and then on the 11th of June on Tuesday, Turkey travel away to Reykjavik to take on Iceland, and that will undoubtedly be a deciding game in the European qualifiers for Turkey. If they can survive that, if they cannot lose in Reykjavik, they will do a good job there. And France, apparently without Kylian Mbappe, Turkey will be motivated for that game. Maybe the French won't be as motivated. Most of their players had a long season, playing for Real Madrid, for Tottenham, for PSG, whatever. They all kind of had a long season behind them. Maybe there's something to get there for Turkey. Burak, in our recording that went to, that has gone in the bin now, predicted 4 points. So imagine if we could pull that off. That would be great. But I'm not going to go into it too much. Next week we'll have another episode of Football Turca. Maybe we'll get something out to you still this week. I doubt it though. But next week for sure we'll have something special. And I do apologize, but we had an entire recording, and I have the raw material, but I don't know what happened. It sounds like absolute dog shit. But unfortunately, pardon my French there, but that'll have to do for this week. I do wish all of you happy holidays, İyi Bayramlar for tomorrow. For those of you who do celebrate it, who do celebrate the end of Ramadan, enjoy, and hopefully on the second day of Bayram, a good result against France, and then on Tuesday next week, good result against Iceland. That would be an amazing way to start off the summer and to end. For most of you who do, of course, take part in Ramadan, that would be a great way to do so. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back with more football a la Turca next week.
Sen gittin gideli içimde öyle bir sızı var ki yalnız sen anlarsın. Sen şimdi uzakta cennette meleklerle bizi düşler ağlarsın. Bugün bayram, erken kalkın çocuklar, giyelim en güzel giysileri. Elimizde taze kır çiçekleri, üzmeyelim bugün annemizi. Bugün bayram, erken kalkın çocuklar, giyelim en güzel giysileri. Elimizde taze kır çiçekleri, üzmeyelim bugün annemizi. Sen yaz geceleri yıldızlar içinde ara sıra bize göz kırparsın. Sen soğuk günlerde kalbimi ısıtan en sıcak anımsın. Bugün bayram, erken kalkın çocuklar, giyelim en güzel giysileri. Elimizde taze kır çiçekleri, üzmeyelim bugün annemizi. Bugün bayram, erken kalkın çocuklar, giyelim en güzel giysileri. Elimizde taze kır çiçekleri, üzmeyelim bugün annemizi. Bugün bayram, çabuk olun çocuklar, annemiz bugün bizi bekler. Bayramlarda hüzünlenir melekler, gönül alır bu güzel çiçekler.